We've all been there. You're settling into work and suddenly you hear it. The unmistakable sound of your dog barking from home. It's a common problem, and it can be frustrating for both you and your neighbors. But have you ever wondered why your dog barks so much when left alone? Before you can stop the barking, you need to understand why it's happening. Dogs are social animals. They thrive on companionship, whether it's with their humans or other dogs. This need for social interaction is deeply ingrained in their nature. So, when they're left alone, it's natural for them to feel anxious, bored, or even scared. These emotions can be overwhelming for them. These feelings can manifest in different ways, and barking is one of the most common. It's their way of expressing their discomfort. There are many reasons why dogs bark when they're alone. Understanding these reasons can help you address the issue more effectively. Separation anxiety is a big one. Dogs with this condition become incredibly distressed when their owners leave. They might bark excessively, pace, whine, or even become destructive. This behavior is a cry for help and a sign of their deep distress. They might chew on furniture, scratch doors, or engage in other destructive behaviors as a way to cope with their anxiety. Other times, barking is simply a way for dogs to entertain themselves. When left alone, they need to find ways to pass the time. Just like humans get bored, so do dogs. Without proper stimulation, they can become restless and resort to barking. If they don't have anything to stimulate them mentally and physically, they'll find ways to entertain themselves. And barking can be a tempting option. Providing toys and puzzles can help keep them occupied. Finally, some dogs bark in response to triggers in their environment. This could be anything from the mailman walking by to a car alarm going off. If your dog is particularly sensitive to noise or activity, they might bark more when they're home alone and feeling vulnerable. Their heightened senses make them more reactive to external stimuli. Understanding the root cause of your dog's barking is the first step in addressing the issue. By providing companionship, mental stimulation, and a calm environment, you can help reduce their anxiety and make them feel more secure when they're home alone. Let's face it, our dogs love us. They are our loyal companions, always eager to be by our side, whether we're lounging on the couch or taking a walk in the park. They see us as their pack, their family. This bond is incredibly strong, and it's built on trust, love, and constant companionship. So when we leave them alone, it's only natural for them to feel a little anxious. They don't understand why we're leaving or when we'll be back. But for some dogs, this anxiety can be completely debilitating. It's not just a matter of missing us. It's a deep-seated fear that can take over their entire being. This is called separation anxiety, and it's more than just a little whimpering when you leave for work. It's a serious condition that affects their mental and emotional well-being. Dogs with separation anxiety exhibit extreme distress when they're alone. They might start panting heavily, drooling excessively, or even have accidents in the house. We're talking frantic barking, pacing, panting, even destructive behavior. These are not just minor inconveniences. They are signs of a dog in severe distress. They might chew on furniture, scratch at doors, or even try to escape. This behavior is not just frustrating, it's dangerous for the dog and can lead to injuries. It's heartbreaking to see, and it can be incredibly stressful for both you and your dog. The emotional toll it takes on both parties is significant. So how do you know if your dog is suffering from separation anxiety? It's important to observe their behavior closely. The key is to look for patterns. Does your dog start to get anxious as soon as you pick up your keys or put on your shoes? Does your dog's anxiety seem to escalate as you're getting ready to leave? Do they follow you from room to room, unable to relax? Do they become unusually clingy in the minutes before you walk out the door? These behaviors are not just signs of affection. They are cries for help. These could be signs of a deeper issue. It's crucial to recognize these signs early and take action to help your dog cope. The good news is that separation anxiety is treatable. With the right approach, you can help your dog feel more secure and less anxious when you're not around. It requires patience, consistency, and a deep understanding of your dog's triggers. Training and behavior modification techniques can make a world of difference. We'll delve into specific training techniques later, but for now, remember that building your dog's confidence and independence is essential. By doing so, you can help them lead a happier, more balanced life, even when you're not there. Imagine being stuck in the same room, day in and day out, with absolutely nothing to do. Sounds pretty boring, right? Well, that's what life can be like for a dog who's home alone all day with no mental or physical stimulation. Dogs are intelligent creatures. They need mental challenges to keep their minds sharp and prevent boredom. Without it, they'll find their own ways to entertain themselves, and that's often when the barking starts. Think of it this way. Barking is a way for your dog to release pent-up energy. It's their way of saying, "Hey, I'm bored. Pay attention to me." And while we all love hearing our dogs' voices, excessive barking is never a good sign. So, how do you combat boredom barking? The key is to provide your dog with plenty of engaging activities throughout the day. This could be anything from puzzle toys that challenge their minds to interactive games that get them moving. Remember, a tired dog is a happy dog, and a happy dog is much less likely to bark the house down. Section 4. The outside world. Triggers that set off your dog. Have you ever noticed that your dog barks more when they're home alone, even when they seem perfectly relaxed when you're around? This is because, when alone, dogs become hyper-aware of their surroundings. Sounds that might normally go unnoticed suddenly become amplified, turning your dog into a furry alarm system. It's like their senses go into overdrive. The mailman approaching? Bark. A car door slamming shut? Bark. Bark. Even the rustling of leaves outside the window can be enough to set off a symphony of woofs. This heightened sensitivity is completely natural. In the wild, dogs rely on their senses to alert them to potential dangers. When they're alone, this instinct kicks in, making them more likely to bark at anything they perceive as a threat. The key is to identify your dog's specific triggers and minimize their impact. If your dog goes ballistic every time the mailman arrives, try placing their bed or crate in a room away from the front door. If loud noises are the culprit, consider using white noise or calming music to muffle the sounds. Section 5. Training for Tranquility. Teaching your dog to relax. In this section, we'll explore various techniques to help your dog achieve a state of calmness and relaxation, which is essential for their overall well-being. Now that we understand the reasons behind your dog's barking, let's dive into some practical solutions. It's important to address the root causes of their anxiety and provide them with the tools they need to feel secure and relaxed. And no, we're not talking about shock collars or other aversive methods. These can often exacerbate anxiety and lead to more behavioral issues. Instead, we focus on humane and effective training techniques. We're talking about positive reinforcement training, a kind and effective way to teach your dog that silence is golden. This method not only helps in reducing unwanted behaviors, but also strengthens the bond between you and your dog. The key to positive reinforcement is to reward desired behaviors. In this case, being quiet. By consistently rewarding your dog for staying calm, you reinforce the behavior you want to see. Start by teaching your dog a quiet command. This command will serve as a cue for your dog to stop barking and remain calm. When they bark, calmly say quiet and wait for a brief pause, even if it's just a second. This moment of silence is your opportunity to reinforce the behavior. As soon as they stop barking, even for a moment, reward them with a small treat and praise. Consistency is key here. The more consistent you are, the quicker your dog will learn. You need to be patient and persistent. Training takes time, and every dog learns at their own pace. Celebrate small victories along the way. Don't get discouraged if your dog doesn't get it right away. It's normal for them to take some time to understand what you want from them. Just keep practicing, and they'll eventually learn that staying quiet earns them positive attention. Over time, this will become a natural behavior for them. Another effective technique is desensitization. This method helps your dog become accustomed to triggers that usually cause them to bark or become anxious. This involves gradually exposing your dog to their triggers at a low intensity and rewarding them for staying calm. The goal is to change their emotional response to the trigger. For example, if your dog barks at the doorbell, start by ringing a doorbell sound on your phone at a very low volume. This way, the sound is less likely to provoke a strong reaction. If they stay quiet, reward them. This positive reinforcement helps them associate the doorbell sound with something pleasant. Gradually increase the volume over time, rewarding them at each stage. This gradual exposure helps them build tolerance and reduces their anxiety over time. With patience and consistency, your dog will learn to stay calm even in the presence of their triggers.